Hello, welcome back to another Bad Movie Reviews review, hosted by your two favourite handsome devils from Down Under, reviewing none other than, I think, our first horror film of the year, if you don't count...
Yeah, we missed Baghead.
If you don't count...
I missed Baghead. I don't know if you watched Baghead. Baghead came out. That was a horror, wasn't it?
Baghead, Immaculate. We have missed a few, but yeah, if you don't count... Godzilla v Kong a horror, I guess, but I don't know, but
Not even close.
It's a horrible film, but no.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. It is the First Omen, which
Which
is a prequel to the original Omen from 1976.
So it is actually the First Omen then.
Yep. The title checks out, but it is directed by none other than Akasha Stevenson, and it is her, I guess, probably most well-known project to date, and they've given her the reins. And without going into too much detail, it's just about an American woman who's sent to Rome to begin a life of, service to the almighty
The church.
I'll try and keep plot, obviously, bare bones as possible, so that's where I'll leave it in that regard. But overall...
I was thinking we touch on the juicy stuff first. You know, people are going to pop into the video and what do they want to know is like, it's a horror. So what are the horror themes like? That's what I wanted to discuss first. What were your thoughts on all that? Because I actually liked it.
No, I liked this film actually quite a bit. In general, if the people are wanting to know what the film's like, I actually thought this was a good film. Do I think it's scary? Not really.
How do you find the horror elements between some of that audio design to, I guess, some of the jump scary kind of moments?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. There were a few cliche kind of jump scare moments that you knew which is guaranteed at this point. But I actually thought the craft of this film was really good.
Yeah.
The sound design was actually top notch for a horror.
I thought it was great.
There was a bit of ASMR-y vibes where there's people speaking parcel tongue. I'm going to say it's obviously not parcel tongue. It's obviously Latin, but I'm taking a piss because it's obviously...
It had that Dolby Atmos kind of 3D audio around
hitting,
you.
And then even the score, really, it was such a powerful, score that you get from these religious films from back in the past. But no, I thought overall, it wasn't the scariest. I didn't feel, but it was unsettling at times, and I felt like it very much lent into the body horror aspect, and it wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't terrified, but there were moments where I was looking and I was like, this is unsettling. That's gross. This is a little bit creepy.
And I'm sitting there with a big grin on my face. I always
yeah,
love
but you're
content.
you're not well, but
It's correct.
no, but no, I really Do I think it's the best film of the year? No, but I really think it does everything well.
Yeah, I agree.
When it comes to the plot as well, which plot's usually the main thing that lets horrors down or thrillers or these kind of films. It actually has a really intriguing plot to the sense where it draws you in and you really want to there were a few moments, there's probably two things where it it didn't lose me at all, but I was I don't know if that there was two bits and I'm not going to obviously touch on them, but other than that, I really was drawn to the film in the sense that I wanted to know what was happening. I was intrigued. It was captivating.
What was next? I was waiting for that. And I was excited for it.
And the main thing I actually got to give its biggest prop, because I think horror films usually are let down by this. I've heard good things from Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney's performance, but Nell Tiger-Free, who plays Margaret, who's probably most known for playing Myrcella Baratheon, one of the Baratheon daughters from Game of Thrones. This is her first, I guess, leading role, and she was genuinely very good in the film.
She was,
she really gave it her all. It's not, I just feel like some horror performances are phoned in, And I thought everyone here across the board was good in the film, but she like really sells it. And there's a certain scene as well where I was like watching, like genuinely captivated by what she was doing on the performance. You probably know exactly.
I know exactly what I'm talking
because
about.
I was like, what the actual,
For me, like her performance was exponentially great. Like it started off good and then just kept going, and it just got better. The more the movie went on, the more it delved
she,
into that
like,
story.
really
She
sells it.
developed. She was so good.
She really plays into it and like does not like hold back,
Yeah.
which is my biggest props. And I also got to give props to the director Akasha Stevenson, because the feel and look of the film is actually very classical in the sense that like I wouldn't be surprised if this film, like, if someone showed me it in 3 years' time and I'd never seen it, I actually wouldn't be surprised if it was made in like 1974, like before the original Omen. Like it's got that very distinctive old vibe to it, and it's also directed that way as well.
Was it 70s it was set in?
Yeah, well, it's before, I think, the first, like 70. I think it came up when they arrived. It was like 70, which was before the original one set. I can't remember what
Just
specific,
for your stylized period.
what specific year it was, but no, I thought like the film and the cinematography, there was some really like interesting shots put in there as well. Like it, like I really don't like. I'm actually genuinely surprised I enjoyed it as much as I did. Like,
Well, I'm one of the most critical when it comes to horror. If anyone that's been here for a little bit, I'm always.
well, horror's always, I think, the hardest, and I've said this before.
It
It's
is
the
one of the
hardest
hardest,
genre to
yeah.
make, because you've got to make a story that's compelling, that allows you to empathize with the characters and kind of obviously allow yourself to put yourself in those shoes. And
people are so desensitized to it now too, so it's really hard to succeed in the industry because people are so much more used to violence, used to gore,
But
used to horror.
yeah, you can get
It's,
horror films on YouTube just by looking up certain things, and not horror thing, but like you can see body horror or gore.
Yeah, correct.
It's so easily accessible. So they're obviously and with obviously video games and things like that, they obviously are a whole different way of feeling that, because it allows yourself to put you in that situation. You're the one in control, which is obviously a completely different art form and media form that we consume. But so it is the hardest, in my opinion, one of the hardest genres to pull off well. There are a lot that come out that just aren't great, and that's the reality of it. But this is probably one that I genuinely... Do I think it's the scariest film I've seen in the last 5-10 years? Like, no. But do I think it's one of the... Do I think it's one of the better ones? Absolutely. Like, I thought
definitely.
plot, like everything was genuinely really enjoyable to me.
What did you think of the other performances? Not that we really touched on too many, but there's not really too many other key kind of characters to stand out. There's a couple of main plot nuns, and obviously there's
Lars, who's the other main. Bill Nighy's in it.
Whoever is the
Maria was her name, I think. The younger one. I know exactly who you're
I'm
talking
trying to think
about.
of Cirilla, but that's freaking
No, like I thought everyone, like obviously that's why I gave her the big props, because like she genuinely carried the film in that regard.
the whole film's around her, really.
But no, I thought everyone else was genuinely good in the film as well. That's like my biggest compliment. Like I didn't feel like there was overacting, which I think horror is very, can be very become a victim to, where they very much oversell and overact. But like, I can't. Yeah, I genuinely had like a really good time. I did see as well that like the world premiere was shown in 35mm, which I would love to see.
You love your 35 film.
No, but like, imagine that film feel, like where you get the...
Yeah, you're watching a 1970s film with the...
Yeah, like I reckon that'd be sick, and it'd probably just make the film feel much creepier to me, to be honest.
I probably wouldn't notice a single difference.
You would absolutely notice.
I genuinely can't even remember Oppenheimer looking at a difference when we watched it in the...
Well, you see the film flickers, but it's also the natural look of it. It's not like digital... Because that's the hard bit, you're watching a film set in the 70s, but it's, in
anyway,
4K high.
Pretty good film, this, overall. Some of I thought at times, and it's probably just because there's that much content out there now, next part is hard to achieve, but I thought the plot was a bit predictable, but that's only because I've seen a lot of material around this topic and subject, so... for me, I was like, okay, I know this is actually exactly what's going to happen, and this is going to do this.
Yeah, I think it felt a little bit of a victim to the curse of the fact that it's obviously a prequel. So, like, a lot of people who have obviously seen the original film and know about it might already know what's going to happen to an extent.
Yep.
And I thought the same thing. I thought at points it did become a little bit predictable, but I was very much keen to see how it got to that point, though. Like, I thought maybe this is going to happen, but I was like, I would love to see how that gets uncovered and how this actually unfolds. So it wasn't as if I sat there and went, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I just completely checked out or like...
I'd like to watch the original now, watching that, because I actually kind of want to know what happens next. In my head, I was thinking, is there a sequel? But it's a prequel. So, yeah, there is. But I'd be interested to see where that story goes.
Yeah. I have happened to see it.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a classic, horror film. But
I didn't start watching films until 2013.
I mean, you can always go watch a YouTube
that
video
is
of
true,
The Omen summed up in 4 minutes, and I'll tell you everything you need to know.
I'll add
Not
that to
that
the
I
list.
advocate for that. Go watch the film.
Definitely
but
watch the film.
But no, I genuinely would recommend this to most people, to be honest. Like anyone who enjoys horror, anyone who enjoys.
I was about to say
No, but like even then, like
I'm not going to tell my mum to go watch this film.
no, but like
I wouldn't tell my dad either.
But also, I don't think it's like that scary to the point where people who don't like horrors will be. Because like I genuinely think this film actually had a good plot, and it does obviously dive into a little bit of the religion aspect and has a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
Which I always, love people's takes on. Not that you're getting any of mine. I'm not falling victim to that. But
Thank you.
no, like that's probably why I could recommend it to a lot of people, because as much as it is obviously advertised and as a horror, I don't think it's really off-putting to people who don't like horrors. There's a couple scenes here and there where they probably feel a little bit uncomfortable or gross, but overall, it's actually a really well-made film.
Yeah, I agree.
That has a good plot,
Very coherent.
with horror elements.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like I just think it's a good film that has a lot to say about certain things. But no, I would recommend this.
It was good. It was good.
It was a good film, and it's surprising because usually horror films that come out in April, probably not in history.
Yep.
But I got to give props also to 20th Century Fox. You've got a big studio, which is obviously owned by Disney now, releasing this kind of film, which you don't see. When we get emails of their release schedule, it's Kingdom of the Planet Apes, Deadpool. Like it's you don't often see a film like this. So it might be usually half the time it might be A24 or an independent studio. So I got to give props for them to taking the risk, and I hope it does well as well, because I would like to see
tear this movie apart.
No, I would genuinely like to see studios take more risks with film like this.
Agreed.
Because as much as it is a prequel, it's obviously a relatively original film in the sense that there was no source material there. Obviously, they have the idea of the original and how to get there, but everything prior to that is great. So, look, that's probably all we've got to cover there. But if you you wouldn't have seen it because it's not out. When you see it, let us know what you think in the comments below. If you like our review, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.